Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about snow removal with your tractor. A lot of new tractor owners out there in 2021 going into their first winter. And I just wanted to share some ideas. Behind me I got a brand new L3901. This one's only got about 52 hours on it, but at a different location I've got an L3800. That one's got 470 hours. I've had that for 8 years. Done, basically I've been through eight winters with that. And I kind of, at some points, I was using that semi-commercially. So I've done a lot of snow removal. So, I'm going to give you guys I'm going to just put some ideas out there, and you can see if this stuff, fits your situation or not. Okay. So with these tractors, if you buy it with a front loader, the first thing I would tell people is don't rush to get something else for snow removal other than the bucket, right? Like this L3901 has a 60-inch bucket on it. That's very capable, okay? What I advise people is, especially, your first winter, work with your bucket, get familiar with your property and, see, what difficulties you have, what areas where you think, because ultimately, I mean, with the bucket, you can pretty much do anything and everything, right? As far as removing snow, it's just a question of some other choices might be faster in some situations, okay? But in some situations, those other choices won't be faster. So that's why it really depends on your situation. So for this property over here, I have a gravel. The entrance is gravel, right? It's about, 200 feet long, something like that. But I don't just do the entrance. I also, have a shooting area set up here. So I take the tractor down this trail over here, and I clear this out. So given that I have a gravel entrance, and I've got this area over here and around this property that's full of rocks, right? I got lots of rocks here. Using a snowblower is really not a good choice, right? Because with the snowblower, when a snowblower hits rocks, you break shear pins and you also bend blades, right? And I've got plenty of experience with that on this property here. And I absolutely hate using a snowblower on this property. The use I have for a snowblower on this property is to do with my decks, because I have these ramps, right? What I do is these wooden ramps. I basically bring the snowblower up onto my wooden decks, because I can't bring the tractor up onto a wooden deck, right? And I snowblow my decks as opposed to having to shovel the decks. Okay, so that's the use I have found for my snowblower on this property. When I was, taking it into this area over here, breaking shear pins constantly. I would break probably at least 2 shear pins per snowstorm. And actually, I've actually bent the blades where I had to bend them back. Now, people might say if you get a snowblower on your tractor, it's gonna be a lot more robust, right? Bigger shear pins, bigger blades, but you're also going to hit bigger rocks, right? Because if you're pushing a snowblower, you tend to see the big rocks a little bit more. Everything kind of scales up when you're on top of the tractor. Those big rocks that before maybe you were seeing when you were on the ground, you're not going to see them as well when you're driving. So you're just going to end up going into bigger rocks if you have a lot of rocks on your property. So that's something to keep in mind with the snowblower on the tractor. With the snowblower, basically on the tractor, you got 2 choices. Working off of your PTO. I think that, basically I've done plenty of reverse work on a tractor, and after a while your neck basically starts getting stiff. Even though I've got mirrors on my tractor, still, I mean, working continually backwards for longer distances, right? It's one thing if you're doing loader work where you're just doing a quick back and quick back and forth, right? But if you're going to be snow blowing backwards and trying to do like a quarter-mile road or a half-mile road, that's a lot of time of you twisting your neck back. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. Now, I know they have snow blowers that face forward, right? So they go on a 3-point hitch, but they face forward. Issue with that is if you've got like a foot of snow, so one thing if you got like 3 inches of snow, yeah, you can just drive over that, right, and slow blow forward. But if you've got a foot of snow, now it's going to probably be a lot harder to drive forward through that. You have to go backwards through that, or you have to have a snowblower on the front of your machine. So as far as snowblowers on the front of the machine, 2 choices. One is a hydraulically run one. Hydraulically run one requires pretty strong hydraulics. If you have a compact tractor like this L3901 here, you're not going to be able to run it off of the hydraulics of the tractor, you have to add like a hydraulic pack or some auxiliary hydraulic system to run that snow blower to the front. Or you get a tractor that has the mid PTO that basically runs a shaft to the front, and now that runs your snow blower. Okay. Aside from the fact that I got rocks on my properties, the issue with the snow blower to the front, right, is two issues. And one, once you put that on, you don't have the benefit of the front loader. Okay, and sometimes during the winter time, I do other stuff like, I gotta move stuff. I put the pallet forks on there, so now it becomes a little bit more of a hassle taking that snow blower off, putting on the front loader, all that stuff. But the main issue for me though is it also, once you put the bracket in there, it actually lowers the height of your tractor. Not the height, but basically the bracket goes in there, so it reduces your ground clearance. Okay, so a tractor comes down a little bit lower. So now I've got a situation as I'm going into the woods here, I'm running, I'm basically hitting rocks and stuff like that. So for my situation, that's not going to work. Okay, snowblower doesn't work. So a couple of things for you guys to think about with the snowblower. Other option is the plow blade, right? Plow blade on the front, basically, it runs off the hydraulics, it angles. Good thing about that, it goes on your quick attach, so that comes off easy. The hydraulics, they usually the quick connect couples, those will come off easy. So the on and off is a little bit easier than if you're putting a snowblower on there, right? Because sometimes you're gonna have to, like in my situation, I gotta stack snow, so I gotta actually be able to pick up snow and move it, so I gotta go back to the bucket. The problem that I have found with straight blades that angle, right, is if you get enough snow in front of the machine and you have an angled blade, it's going to turn your machine, right? So because the blade is angled, at some point, if you get enough weight in there, and the way the snow builds up pretty quickly, it'll start turning the machine. And if you're trying to come up, let's say like a narrow driveway or something, it becomes really awkward. On this property right here, at one point I was using an F550 dump truck with a 9-foot Fisher blade that was angled. So it basically was like a 12,000 pound truck. And then I had like another, like 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of ballast in the back. Okay. When I had almost 2 feet of snow and I'm going up an incline, that would turn the truck too, right? Even though that was a much bigger, heavier truck, if you push hard enough into it, it would turn it. So basically, ideally for that type of situation, I wanted a V-plow, where instead of it being completely flat, if it was a V-plow, then all the snow would have been, basically the snow would have been pushed equally on both sides, and that would not turn the truck as you're pushing it to 2 feet of snow. So that wasn't a great option for that type of situation. I was using, at one point I was doing semi-commercial plowing, so I was doing a parking lot that was some 300 feet by 300 feet, right? The tractor kind of sucked in that situation with the bucket because it just took too long, right? And that's why I ended up buying that plow truck, right? Because when I was doing it with my tractor, right, with the 66-inch blade, if I had, let's say, 3 inches of snow, 4 inches of snow, it would, let's say, take me about 2 hours, and that's because of the windrows, right? Because as you're pushing through with the bucket, you got snow coming out on the sides, both sides. So you gotta go back and you gotta keep cleaning up your windrows. Whereas with the plow blade that's angled, you only got the windrows on one side, which is and basically it cuts your work down almost by half, because you don't have to keep going over and over the same tracks to clean up your windrow. So with 3 to 4 inches, it would take me, whereas with the tractor, it would still take me like 4 hours. With the truck, it would take me like an hour. Okay, if I had like a foot of snow, sometimes with the tractor, it would take me something like 5 hours. Whereas with the plow truck being angled, it would take me, I don't know, 2 hours. Obviously I'm not using exact numbers. There's a lot of variables there, like how heavy the snow is, but basically more or less having the plow truck in a parking lot cut my time down in half. That wasn't a situation where a snowblower would have worked good, because it's such a big area, right? It's basically was a 300 by 300 foot square, more or less. So if I'm in the center of the lot, right, and I'm snow blowing, or basically I'm just taking snow from one side of the lot and putting it on a little further out, or whatever, 50 feet. But then I gotta go remove that snow anyway. It can't stay there. So I needed to clear out the lot completely. So I needed a way to push the snow all the way to the edge. Snowblower wouldn't do that. It had to be basically a a plow, or even a bucket that would just push it completely to the other side. Now, how about a snow pusher, right? Those boxes, right? What I found is that, because I did borrow somebody's and I worked with that, and I found that was pretty. First of all, they're expensive. Those are like $1,800, so they're pretty expensive. But what I found is that worked great if I had like 2 or 3 inches of snow, right? Because I could go across this, I could go 300 feet across, and by the time you got to the other end of the lot, basically you would fill it up, right? But what I found is if you had like a foot of snow, right, you would basically fill up. You would just move a couple of feet, you would fill up that box. And now as you kept pushing forward, the weight of the snow basically stopped the tractor. Okay, so that's the issue I had with the box pusher, with the snow pusher. If you're going to use a snow pusher, you pretty much have to have a big enough machine to be able to push that box when it's completely full. That didn't work really good with my 38 horsepower tractors. Okay? So that's why the snow pusher wasn't a good option for me. The big truck F550 with the 9-foot Fisher blade was ideal for a parking lot, and I guess that's why people, generally plow parking lots with trucks, not tractors. Okay, or they use like a front loader, right, or like a big backhoe, right, 100 horsepower backhoe. And they put a snow pusher on that because that's got enough muscle, enough weight to actually push that across the lot. The other thing that they're doing differently is usually with those type of commercial lots, they're hitting it as it's coming down, right? So every like 2 inches, they're plowing it. In my situation, I wasn't getting it to it until the next day, so I could have like a foot of snow in there. And again, that with the snow pusher, that wouldn't work because now I'm trying to push too much snow at once. Whereas with the bucket, I was able to break it up, into little chunks, and move it that way. Or with the same thing with the dump truck, with the plow blade on it. The first pass through might have been a little bit difficult, but once I got all the way through and I created an opening, then as I would go through it, I would just put, like, say, a quarter of my blade, or half my blade, or a quarter of my blade, leave the other half hanging out so I could decide how much snow I wanted to push. So that worked out pretty good. Okay, so again, I'm just throwing out some information for you guys because I don't know what your situation is. I've been in a lot of different types of situations trying to move snow, so I'm kind of sharing my experiences, what worked well, what didn't work well. So for, let's say, the property like this where I got rocks, the bucket's definitely the way to go. I'm able to you can see how it curves over here. That if you have like narrow spaces like this. It can be pretty awkward to try to get through there with a snow pusher, or even with a longer plow blade, and also with the longer, let's say, plow blade, right, or the snow pusher, because it's further out. If you're going through and you catch something, let's say on the edge, like a tree or a pile of dirt, it's gonna torque your the implement itself, and also the loader itself. So because it's further out, whereas with the bucket, because it's more towards the center, if I hit a rock, or if I hit, let's say, a pile of dirt that I can't see underneath the snow, it's more towards the center, so it's less likely to bend my loader. Okay, so that's another thing to consider depending on your type of situation. Okay, so again, my thoughts for first time tractor buyers in 2021. Use your bucket, for the first winter, and then see what difficulties you have. It might turn out, if you've got like a quarter mile or a mile of road that, maybe the bucket is not the best solution for that. Maybe a snow blower or snow plow blade on your tractor might be good, or maybe just a different machine altogether, right? Because, like I said, for some situations, just you know, having a big truck with a plow blade was a better option for me. So I'm not just committed to using, you know, one machine. You know, I'm more open-minded. Right? You know, depending on my situation, I'm more open-minded towards trying to find the right machine. Okay. So just some ideas. I'll probably do some more videos on this. Main thing, let me bring you up a little bit closer to the tractor. Main thing here is ballast on the back of your machine, right? Because a lot of times people, when they talk about snow plowing, one of the issues they're going to run into is that you're going to start losing traction in the snow, right? The best way to get more traction is to put weight on the back of the machine, right? All right, so I got this is L3901. I got 1,000 pounds on the back here, right? And the wheels are filled. So the two tires together, plus the rims, the rubber, and the fluid that's in them, right? Both tires is 1,000 pounds, and then I got another 1,000 pounds on the 3-point. So that's a total of 2,000 pounds on the back. Okay, that's what's going to give those big wheels traction, because you want to be pushing with the big wheels, not the little wheels in the front. You want the big wheels in the back doing most of your pushing. All right, so that's probably the most important thing to be aware of. If you're going to invest money in anything, like before you buy a snow pusher or a snow blower or a snow plow, get weight. You know, get a ballast box. And if you've got like if you've got a loader, you want the same amount of weight on the back as your loader is capable of lifting. So the fluid in the tires, right, offset. Basically the tires offset the weight of the front loader. So the front loader by itself is like 800 pounds, right? So the tires offset the weight of the loaders, and then the weight on the back, that offsets usually the dirt that I have inside of the bucket. So if you got one of these L525s, yeah, you pretty much need 1,000 pounds on the back. If you're gonna buy a ballast box, because I know they sell like 500-pound ballast boxes, 800-pound ballast boxes, you know, save yourself some money. Get the 1,000-pound ballast box, outright. It makes a big difference, because especially like on this machine here, I've been able to, because I've got plates in the back, I've been able to test out different weights, and I can see that, there's a big difference from 500 pounds to 700 pounds. There's a big difference from 700 pounds to 1,000 pounds. That weight makes a big difference. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got any questions, put them in the comment section. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe, hit that bell button. Talk to you guys soon.